I think it's important to say that we're still a Bitcoin first company, but we are actively building this differentiated listed platform, I guess, that gives us exposure around scarce assets generally, right? But the ultimate goal here, and the reason we do the gold strategy in itself, is to monetize it at some stage and rotate that capital back into Bitcoin.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Hewie Rattray, the CEO of London BTC Company. Hewie, very good to speak with you. You've removed remarkably quickly from announcing a US gold hedge strategy to staking two Nevada projects within days. Why was now the right time to add gold to the story, and what gap does it fill alongside your Bitcoin treasury and mining operations?
Hi, Stephen. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so I think, currently with the market in Bitcoin, how it is, and there being a lot of people being risk off in the market, we wanted to take the opportunity to pursue another strategy that made sense to layer alongside the Bitcoin strategy. And gold makes a perfect sense for us in Nevada. It's where most of our board is very experienced on a sector level. And yeah, I mean, this is the second project under our gold strategy, and there will be much more to come in the future as well. We're taking this quite seriously. We're investing capital into the strategy, and we believe that investors will begin to resonate with what we're doing, and they'll understand the relationship between Bitcoin and gold and why it makes sense.
Both projects sit near major gold operations and appear to have seen little modern exploration. Hewie, what was it about Huntington-Whitman and Amonett-Frank that convinced you these were opportunities worth moving on?
Because they were producing mines a long time ago around that area, and there are very big producers currently in that area. And like you say, they're not tested with modern exploration techniques, these spaces. Gold has, rallied hard over the course of last year, and suddenly there's economic viability in these areas. So we really want to capitalize on that and try and build out, help build out the infrastructure, or do a royalty or a vend-in. And there's gold in the ground there for sure, right? And it's just a case of, us going down the results way and just figuring out exactly the best strategy for us to monetize it.
The rock chip grades at Amonett-Frank, eye-catching, but investors obviously know early stage projects come with risk. Hewie, what milestones should they focus on over the coming months to judge whether these projects can evolve into something more meaningful?
Yeah, so as people know, staking is a low-cost way to secure exposure, and they should be seen as a useful pointer, but not proof. But there are a bunch of different milestones going down the line that will essentially validate the asset that will come out in the next couple of months. And people want to look at the results from them and, look at the commentary from me and David, our chairman, and then they'll understand, how we can attack these opportunities seriously, I think.
I mean, just going back to one of your previous points, Hewie, should investors expect London BTC to remain primarily a Bitcoin miner and a treasury company with a gold hedge? Or do you see the opportunity to build a differentiated platform offering exposure to both digital and physical stores of value?
Yeah, I think, when it comes to investor attention, or it comes to investors just understanding what we're doing, I think it's important to say that we're still a Bitcoin first company. But we are actively building this differentiated listed platform, I guess, that gives us exposure around scarce assets generally, right? But the ultimate goal here, and the reason we do the gold strategy in itself, is to monetize it at some stage and rotate that capital back into Bitcoin. So we are aiming to build a Bitcoin balance sheet, and we're doing it, in a unique, I guess, a different means than the traditional, dilute and buy Bitcoin, dilute and buy Bitcoin. We're being innovative in that we can catch some sentiment, I think, with this strategy, and then we can figure out a way to monetize it. There's a bunch of different ways you can monetize these things, and then rotate back into Bitcoin and ultimately build up that Bitcoin balance sheet.
So what should we be watching out for next, Hewie?
Without saying too much, I guess we're going to keep operating the strategy that we've done this week, and there will be more to come with regards to new projects that we're looking at. And when they're disclosable, we will announce that. But we're going to be very active over the summer. I think this will be the busiest period we've had since, I guess, a year ago. So yeah, it's exciting time for us, I think.
I'm sure we're going to be having lots of conversations this summer then. Hewie, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Stephen.
Hewie Rattray, the CEO of London BTC Company.